Imagine a world where the very people sworn to protect you are the ones you fear the absolute most. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping right into a narrative that honestly feels like a tense, cinematic thriller, but it's firmly grounded in a terrifying abuse of power. We're looking at a deeply corrupted system where the uniform is essentially a license to extort, humiliate, and utterly destroy lives. But as we're going to see, no matter how dark this reign of terror gets, the ultimate arrival of justice is absolute. So let's just dive right into it.
The law of this city is in my pocket. I am the law. Now, this isn't just some movie villain's boast. It is the sheer, unchecked arrogance of corrupt officers who genuinely, truly believed they were untouchable. They literally thought the khaki uniform they wore made them gods walking among ordinary citizens. They'd laugh at the vulnerable, entirely convinced that absolutely no one could ever hold them accountable.
So, the crucial question we have to ask ourselves here is, what happens when the protectors become the predators? Seriously, think about the sheer terror of facing a system where the police use their uniform not to serve the public but to extort and humiliate them. I mean, who do you even call when the criminals are the ones answering the emergency line? It creates this completely suffocating atmosphere of fear, where the ordinary citizen just feels entirely powerless. To really grasp the scale of this, we need to look at the inciting incidents from our sources, which really showcase how deeply this corruption had infected the ranks. The brutality here is just staggering. You've got Inspector Kalia Singh publicly slapping and humiliating Avni, who, completely unbeknownst to him, is an army captain just trying to buy medicine for her mother. Then there's Inspector Bhairav Singh ruthlessly crushing a poor widow Shanti Devi's eggplant farm, literally destroying her livelihood over completely fabricated liquor charges. Inspector Bhavani violently assaults an innocent girl named Priya right in the middle of a crowded market. And in perhaps the most unbelievable instance, Inspector Raghunath Reddy actually sells a woman to a local don, Sheru Thakur, for extortion money. Bribes, false arrests, absolute intimidation, they were completely ruling the streets.
Right at the core of this whole conflict are two drastically different views of authority. On one hand, you have the corrupt cops and their deeply twisted perspective. They see the uniform merely as a tool for absolute power, for public extortion, and for spreading fear. On the other hand, we have the righteous, unshakable ideals represented by Imran Khan, who steps in as the ultimate authority figure in our narrative. For him, that uniform and that power represent a totally sacred duty to protect the vulnerable and to serve the nation. The contrast literally could not be sharper.
500,000 rupees, or 5 lakhs. That's the exact amount of extortion money Inspector Kalia casually demanded from a local merchant, Seth Dinanath. Crazy, right? And it gets worse, because it was also the exact price Inspector Reddy put on an innocent woman's life when handing her over to a crime boss. Think about that. Human dignity and basic safety were just being traded for a few bundles of cash.
But here is exactly where the story shifts. These arrogant villains were so totally blinded by their own power, they didn't even realize a silent trap was being sprung right under their noses. Army Captain Avni, instead of fighting back in the market and risking a false arrest, brilliantly pretends to beg. But as she reaches down to touch Inspector Kalia's boots, she secretly plants a tiny Bluetooth listening device right into the hem of his pants. It turns out, unyielding arrogance creates some pretty massive blind spots. Meanwhile, Shanti Devi's long-lost son, who just so happens to be the billionaire industrialist Ratan Maurya, finds out what happened to his mom and directly intercepts this corrupt system. Through these incredibly resilient victims and some highly coordinated undercover operations, rock-solid evidence is gathered against the entire crime syndicate. They were basically letting the villains dig their own graves.
The pressure was mounting from literally all sides at this point. 10 billion rupees, 10,000 crore. That is the massive size of the factory deal that billionaire Ratan Maurya threatened to entirely cancel in a direct, high-level phone call to the chief minister. By throwing the heavy weight of a 10,000 crore investment straight onto the scales, he completely bypassed the local corruption and fully exposed the corrupt superintendent of police, Neha Sharma, and the local MLA, Gajraj. The trap was locked.
And now we reach the breaking point. Picture this. It's nighttime. The corrupt officers are sitting around at a highway dhaba, eating chicken, drinking, and literally laughing out loud about how they tortured the innocent that day. They're celebrating their crimes, totally and completely unaware that the trap has closed around them and that true authority has finally arrived.
Just imagine the heavy, terrifying calm right before the storm completely breaks.
The downfall plays out like a rapid cinematic countdown. At 9 p.m., the extortion money is rolling in, and the corrupt cops are celebrating at the Daba, feeling like absolute kings of the world. By 9:05 p.m., the live audio evidence of their corruption, broadcast straight from that bug in Kalia's pants, is fully secured and transmitted to the highest authorities. And then, at 9:10 p.m., everything changes. Imran Khan steps out of the shadows to deliver absolute justice. Their entire reign of terror is systematically dismantled in mere minutes.
Enter Imran Khan. The sensory shift in this moment is absolutely incredible. The loud, arrogant laughter of those cops just instantly dies. There's this deafening, terrified silence. You can almost hear the heavy thud of boots as Imran Khan, backed by a highly trained special task force, takes center stage. He completely replaces their corrupt hierarchy with real, unyielding power. The chicken bones literally drop from their hands. The officers are just frozen in pure terror.
And then, with icy, commanding authority, Imran Khan delivers this line. "You think you own the law? Today, you will see the hammer of justice." He completely channels the righteous anger of the victims, providing this massive, climactic turning point for the entire narrative.
You know, in this narrative, justice isn't just some abstract concept. It's defined as the swift, absolute, and highly public dismantling of corrupt power by an unyielding authority figure. It's really not just about quietly punishing a few bad cops behind closed doors. It's about doing it publicly to restore the shattered faith of the citizens. It is about proving once and for all that the system actually can and will protect the innocent.
But of course, the arrogant don't give up quite so easily. Inspector Kalia Singh, sweating and stuttering, makes one last, totally desperate attempt to use his political connections. He literally stammers out, "I am a senior inspector, I have reach if I call the minister." He honestly still thinks the old rules apply. He still thinks a quick phone call to a corrupt politician can somehow save him from the absolute avalanche of consequences heading his way.
But those old rules, they no longer apply. Imran Khan delivers the crushing blow. Your reach? I sent this audio to the minister 10 minutes ago. He told me to clean up this garbage. Boom. In just one sentence, Imran Khan proves that absolutely no amount of political cover can save them now. The evidence is undeniable, and their so-called political masters have already abandoned them to save their own skin.
To really seal their fate, Imran Khan plays that Bluetooth recording loudly for literally everyone at the Daba to hear. "The law of this city is in my pocket. I put fake drugs on people." Hearing their own arrogant confessions echoing in the night air completely destroys any tiny shred of defense those corrupt cops had left. In a perfect, almost poetic stroke of irony, their own massive egos became the exact star witnesses that convicted them.
What follows is a wildly satisfying, systematic sequence of absolute justice. Imran Khan doesn't hesitate for a second. He orders the immediate suspension and arrest of inspectors Bhairav, Kalia, and Bhavani. The higher-ups who actually protected them, SP Neha Sharma and MLA Gadraj, are stripped of their power and arrested right on the spot. In this incredibly powerful symbolic moment, Army Captain Avni physically rips the stars and nameplate off Kalia's uniform, telling him straight up he is totally unfit to wear khaki. And finally, these corrupt officers are dragged away and thrown into the very same foul lockups they used to torture innocent people.
The fall of arrogance here is just immediate and absolute. Literally moments prior, they were predators. They were demanding bribes, slapping citizens, and destroying homes with total impunity. But after Imran Khan steps in, they're on their knees, wetting their pants, and literally begging the very people they abused for mercy. The exact same officers who forced victims to touch their boots were now sobbing on the dirt ground pleading for their jobs. Just an incredible turnaround.
The power dynamics completely, totally invert. Before Imran Khan's arrival, the corrupt police held all the cards, right? While the citizens were completely marginalized and suppressed. But look at the aftermath. The corrupt authority is utterly dismantled, and the power, the safety, the dignity, the voice, it is all returned back to the oppressed citizens exactly where it belongs.
And how does the public react to all this? The silence of fear is finally broken. Cheers and chants just erupt across the Daba, the market, and the police station as these corrupt cops are hauled away in handcuffs. Just picture it. The truck drivers, the waitresses, the poor farmers, all of them finally experiencing the massive, massive relief of true justice. The nightmare was finally over. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a pretty provocative question. Will we remember that true power lies not in the uniform, but but in the actual integrity of the person wearing it? Because at the end of the day, the uniform is just fabric, right? It's the character, the unyielding commitment to justice demonstrated by figures like Imran Khan that gives it true meaning. So what should you take away from this? Well, never lose hope, because no matter how powerful corruption might seem, the hammer of justice eventually falls. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep questioning the world around you.